Hey guys, so I am back again today with another new video. I had quite a few requests after my March favorites video went up yesterday. Gave you guys a little sneak peek at the new Kat Von D Shade Light Eye Palette. And a lot of you had asked for some swatches and a little review on the palette, so that's why I'm here today. I will tell you that I did check just before I pressed record. This palette is still not available online at Sephora. It is available in store at most Sephoras. Some of them do not have them displayed simply because Kat Von D has become so popular that a lot of the Sephoras are expanding and growing their display cases. They're making them a little larger. So until that happens, they don't have enough room for the new products. So if you're interested in this palette, call around to any of the local Sephoras near you and ask them if they have any in stock. Because chances are if you go in and you don't see them, they probably have them hidden somewhere. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is what the palette looks like. Pretty darn similar to the contour palette, except right here it says eye. All of the embossing on this palette is in gold, whereas the contour palette, mine has worn off quite a bit, but this is in silver, so they look pretty darn comparable. I also did pick up the dual-ended brush that came with this new eye palette. I wouldn't call it a must-have, but I do love this brush. It does indicate on each end which is to be used for shade and which is to be used for light. This is very comparable to really any pencil brush. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus here. It's a very soft, very dense pencil brush. I don't have any that are this soft, so I have been thoroughly enjoying this guy. The other end of the brush is really just a very short, bristled, yet densely packed crease brush. And most of my blending brushes are very fluffy in nature, so I don't have any exactly like this. It doesn't take much to excite me for a brush because I'm kind of a fanatic. So for $29, would I call it a must-have? No, but is it a very nice brush? Yes. And I also have to say, it's very disturbing that I now have a large coffin and a small coffin displayed on my vanity. It's kind of disturbing. Okay, so diving right into this palette, this is what she looks like. It is divided into 3 quads. So we have neutrals, we have cool tones, and we have warm tones. So there really is something in this palette for everybody. Whether you like neutrals, cools, warms, you're covered. A lot of these, and we'll talk about it along the way, a lot of these are similar in nature to some of the other shades that I have in my collection, but some of them are very unique and I couldn't find anything even close. Now, like I said, that's just comparable to my collection, but there you have it. Okay, now I am not going to use any type of primer on my hand. I want you guys to be able to see what these shadows look like, how they perform on their own. So keep that in mind. There is no primer involved. So starting with the neutral quad, this is what they indicate as a base. So it's a very neutral toned. It's not pink, it's not yellow. Because it is a neutral, it's something that I think would complement really any skin tone. You know, whether you're warm or cool, it's something that I think would look good on anybody. But like I said, they're calling it a base because the way these quads per se are set up, you have a base color, you have a contour color, you have a definition color, and you have a highlight. Okay, so next up in the neutral quad, this is the contour shade. So it's just a very neutral brown. Comparing it to, I went through almost every single palette that I own. The only thing that I could really come up with that was close in the Naked 2 palette, Tease, is it's similar. I wouldn't say it's the same. There's also a shade in the Chocolate Bar palette, the first one, that's very similar in coloring, but like I said, not the same. It's just very similar. As for the base, let me think about that for a minute. The Naked 2 palette, actually, Foxy, is very similar in coloring to this. So if you were trying to compare it to something that you're familiar with, Foxy from the Naked 2 palette, and then Tease from the Naked 2 palette. And there's also one in the Chocolate Bar palette, but none of those colors that I can think of have names. Okay, so next up, this is the highlight shade in the neutral palette. This is very comparable to, if you own the original Chocolate Bar palette, there is a matte highlight in that palette, and this is very similar to it. Other than that, I don't have anything else in my collection that even comes close. You'll see, I'm going to put up the last shade here in this quad. They are, yes, they are all very neutral. So these colors are perfect for your everyday kind of eye look. So the last color in the neutral quad. This is the definition shade. So a little bit deeper in tone from the contour. But this color here is the definition shade. The only thing that I can find close to it is Espresso in the original Lorac palette. It's a really pretty deep neutral brown. Very pretty. So again, we have base, contour, highlight, and the defining shade. So while I am waiting for my hand to dry from my little wipey, I will also share with you this little card also came in the box. So just to kind of give you an idea how the quads are laid out, and it tells you what each shade is for. Like I said, this is your base, your contour, your defining shade, and your highlight. And it breaks it down for each of the quads. So like I said, neutral, cool, and warm. And then on the other side of the card, it kind of gives you some ideas if you are either new to makeup or, you know, you just kind of overwhelmed. You open the palette and you're like, okay, now what? This kind of gives you a really good place to start, whether you want to do just a natural everyday look or if you want to go for a little more of an intense smoky eye. This little card kind of gives you some tips along the way. So I thought that was neat because I'm seeing that more and more in the palettes that I buy, that they're putting these little cards in. So starting off with the Cool Quad. This is the base. Now, the Cool Quad is what I have on my eyes today. You'll see once I swatch these on my hand, I was immediately drawn to these shades. I typically do not wear cool toned shadows on my eyes. But like I said, as soon as I opened this palette and I started swatching and playing, I immediately wanted to put them on my eyeballs. So if I had to compare this base shade to anything in my collection, I would say from the Naked 1 palette, what's it called? Naked, I think. Yeah, that cool tone brown in the Naked 1 palette. That's what I would compare this to. Not identical, but similar. So very nice transition shade or crease shade, depending on your skin tone. Okay, I think this is my favorite eyeshadow in the entire palette. So this is the contour shade. I do not have anything in my collection that even is similar to this. It's definitely a brown with some green undertones. It's almost like an army green brown. It's very hard to describe. Like I said, I couldn't even find anything close to it. But again, this is the contour shade in the Cool Quad. This bright, clearly a highlight shade in the quad. I had a really hard time matching this up with anything in my collection as well. The only thing that came close was the cream color in the original Lorac Pro palette, but this is much brighter. The cream color in the Lorac palette is a little more like a peachy pink undertone compared to this. Now just wait till I put... Now the last shadow in the Cool Quad, it's just a matte black. It's just a matte black. So I don't know why, but once they were all together, I was like, yes, yes, you're going on my eyelids today. And holy cat, it is a... That's a terrible swatch. But it is a very pigmented matte black. And that is really the only way I can describe it. And that's the only description it needs. It is a matte black. So base, contour, highlight, definition. And I love them all. So again, those are the colors that are on my eyes today. And again, I really like how they turned out. I'm gonna have to start digging some more cool tone shadows because I really like them. Okay, so lastly with the warm quad. If you love warm tones, you're going to love this. This is the base shade. Very, very similar in color to like Peach Smoothie from Makeup Geek. This is a tinge deeper. Peach Smoothie is a little bit brighter. I just want to say to this color shadow, get in my crease. Just get in there. It's so pretty. So pretty. Now, as soon as I swatch the contour shade, you're gonna say to yourself, okay, I'm in. If you like these kinds of colors, okay. So we're only 2 colors in and I'm sold. I'd buy the whole palette just for these 2 colors alone. This is the contour shade. It's beautiful. It's that burnt orange, burnt red, brown goodness. Comparable to Makeup Geek's Cocoa Bear. Comparable to... it's comparable to MAC's Brown Script. It's fantastic. So base, contour. Okay, next up is the highlighter in the warm quad. I do not have anything like this in my collection, so I can't compare it to anything, but it is beautiful. I wish it was just a little bit lighter, because depending on what your skin tone is, it's hardly even able to contrast with my skin. But now I'm gonna go in for the kill. So last up, this is the definition shade in the warm quad. Look at that. Look at that. Comparable to anything in my collection, I would say Mocha from Makeup Geek, but this is a little bit warmer. It's got a little bit more of a reddish undertone. Just, I can't. Alright guys, so just to summarize, I would say this is a palette that I would highly recommend to anybody because it is so diverse in that there's pretty much something for everybody in here, whether you like neutrals, whether you like cool tones, whether you like warm tones, there is something in this palette for everybody. So to be honest, the main reason that I bought this palette, not to say that you can't create an entire look, obviously the way that this palette was designed, but a lot of times whenever I am creating something and I want to go for a cool tone brown or a warm toned highlight or just something that I want to grab for that I don't have, well, this pretty much has all of that. It has that warm tone brown. It has that, you know, cool tone highlight, whatever it is that you're looking for, even just to pop into a look that you've created, this palette is perfect for that. So I would highly recommend, if it's something that you're interested in, I would contact a Sephora near you. Ask them if they have them in store, if they're on display. If you're interested, ask them if they'll hold one for you, because like I said, the very few that I went to, they had very limited quantities available. I'm pretty sure it's going to sell out just like the contour palette did. So that is my swatch / review of the new Kat Von D eye palette. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing a few more looks with this palette, so if you guys have anything in mind or anything in particular that you would like to see, by all means leave them in the comments down below. I would be more than happy to do that for you guys. And I also wanted to just say thank you to those of you who had reached out and sent me very nice comments, subscribed. It really means a lot. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned because I will pop in some clips here of me using this palette. You'll get to see it in action with that cool tone quad. And until my next video, I will see you guys next time. Bye. So starting off with the highlight shade in the cool quad, I'm taking the dual-ended brush that you can purchase in addition to the palette, and I'm using the pencil brush end, and I'm just going to run that highlight shade all along my brow bone, as well as my inner corner, just as a really nice highlight to brighten things up. Then I'm going to take the base shade on a flat shader brush, and I'm going to pack that all over the lid. I'm also going to take my big fluffy E40 brush, and I'm going to run that all through the crease. And that's just going to help put down a really nice base so that the darker shades we go in with next will blend much easier. So on a more precise blending brush, I'm going to take this contour shade in the quad, and I'm going to use that to start contouring out the outer lid portion of my eye, and then I will start running that into my crease. The one thing I will say about this palette that I did not mention in the review swatch portion, there is a little bit of kickback in these shadows, but as long as you tap your brush off, you're fine. I did my foundation and everything first, and I did not have any fallout whatsoever, so just one thing I thought I'd mention. These shadows, they blend very well also, so on a pencil brush, I'm going to take the matte black shade, which is the defining shade in the quad, and I'm going to really pack that very precisely, again, into the outer V and the crease portion of my lid. And then I'm going to go back and forth with, this is actually a clean blending brush. And I wanted to use a clean blending brush because had I used one of the other ones that had a different color shadow, it's just going to kind of blend everything together. And I wanted to be more precise with that matte black defining shade. So running this contour shade all along my lower lash line, because I do want to somewhat mimic on the bottom lash line, just like I did on the top, and really define it out. So I'm kind of going back and forth between a pencil brush and a little bit more of a fluffy, I don't even know what to call it. It's a Morphe brush. I'll link it down below, but it's awesome for blowing out shadow on the lower lash line. So again, just going back and forth between the different blending brushes just to kind of get things blended out nicely. And then I'll go over the highlight shades again on my brow bone as well as the inner corners. And then this is the contour end side of the brush. It's a much more densely packed blending brush. It really is. It is a nice brush. I like it. But popping on some lashes. I went all out today, folks. All out. Typically, I don't do falsies, but I was feeling it today. Then I go in with my mascara just to kind of melt my real lashes with my falsies. And then I will also run this through my bottom lash line. This is the Jordana Best Lash, and I love this mascara so much. I'm almost out. Time for a drugstore run. Okay, so lastly, we're going to finish with lips. This is a limited edition Viva Glam. Sorry, guys. But this is the final look. We'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see. I love these cool shades so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.